It seems like just yesterday that a vibrant, energetic, charismatic, and really smart new leader arrived at Montgomery College to be our new president. It's hard to believe that Dr. Pollard is now starting her 4th year at MC here in August. So please join me in welcoming Montgomery College President and Chief Shelter Giver, Dr. DeRionne Pollard.
Well, good morning, everyone. I am delighted to see so many of you back today and had the opportunity earlier to interact with so many. And I'd like to say that this looks like it's going to be a wonderful semester. If 270 meant anything, that's the lesson I'm taking out of it today. How many of you flew down 270? I literally flew down 270. I left my house at 7:15 and I arrived here at 7:45. Those of you know I live in Clarksburg, so it was a glorious morning. That will not be on Monday, I know, but I'm going to enjoy today while I can. So we're very excited to start the semester off, and I am very hopeful that you are excited about what's going to take place this academic year. I want to share with you what I did for my summer vacation. I took Miles rock climbing. Yes, that is only a climbing wall, but I'm sure it's just the start. You will note that it is not my butt in a harness up there. There were no pictures allowed on that one. And yes, he is only 6, and he looks like he's 9, and he starts 1st grade on Monday. So we are very excited about that. My July was spent, as much many of you will have had as well, with family fun, doing lots of travel, but it also provided me with a time to think and to reflect. I thought about a lot of the things that we have going on here at the college right now. I thought about connections. I thought about the ways in which we are tightly coupled with each other. And I thought about the ways in which we can draw linkages to each other in more deep ways, and all of our critical and crucial undertakings that we're making right now as an organization. And then I found my inspiration for my speech today. Miss Awa Saseke, MC student, and the star of the Montgomery College production of The Wiz. Now, how many of you saw it? Yeah, it was wonderful. Our theater department, auxiliary services staff, our incredible student actors and staff, everyone worked so hard on that production, and it was absolutely amazing. I took my whole family to see the show. We enjoyed it. We had a great time. And what a pleasure it was to hear Awa sing Dorothy's one of my favorite songs, Ease on Down the Road, with the Scarecrow and the Tin Man and the Lion. And then it hit me. Ease on down the road. Now, the staff who've been working with me, they wanted me to sing. I told them we're already short on time. So then by the end, if I can get my courage up, I will. But that idea of easing on down the road, about taking a journey, was an important one for me. And you all know the story well. It's about travelers who are all seekers. Dorothy, who wishes to go home. The Scarecrow, who's on a quest for intellect. The Tin Man, who's looking for a heart. And the Lion, who's seeking courage. You know who else is taking a journey right now? We are. We're on a journey as an organization with our own quest, one that requires us to think, to believe, and to have courage. There are many similarities to Dorothy. We face a journey with a fair amount of unknowns, and after all, the yellow brick road had never been traveled by Dorothy or her crew. The song acknowledges both fears and joys of taking such a journey. Certainly, there are naysayers. The environment even changed. Who could have anticipated poppy fields and sudden storms on the midst of the journey? And as the one line of the song says, because there may be times when you think you have lost your mind. Okay, I've heard that one too. There's a few people who think I lose my mind regularly. But I also would have to tell you, we all have those days. But in the end, as the song says, you just keep on easing down the road. Because if you don't, well, how are you going to get there? There's no other way to do it. There's imperative to ease on down the road to reach that destination. So today I want to talk to you about the Montgomery College journey, about our own version of that yellow brick road. And yes, we're going to find some challenges along the way. There'll be Middle States guidance on standards. There'll be state legislation, how to help us help our students complete. There'll be new federal requirements about the ways in which our organizations run, and hopefully we'll see them coming and be prepared. So yes, it's not always an easy journey, but here's what I put forth to you today. We're already starting in a very good place. We have the best resource that we can ask for, the outstanding faculty and staff of Montgomery College. We have a mission that guides us daily, and we have a pathway, our own very yellow brick road to get us to that journey. Yes, that's our strategic plan. Montgomery College 2020. It's that road. It's the pathway to the aspirational vision we have for our college. And I'd like to share that vision with you, particularly for those of you who are new to the college. With a sense of urgency for the future, Montgomery College will be a national model of educational excellence, opportunity, and student success. Our organization will be characterized by agility and relevance as it meets the dynamic challenges facing our students and community. That's where our journey is taking us. It's a journey we started taking about 3 years ago at my first fall meeting. It's the one where I kind of laid out this idea of relevance, the one that had a few people rolling their eyes every once in a while. But I know you all remember me saying that because every once in a while, I'm struck at how frequently relevance finds itself in college discourse. And all the steps along the way are about to get us going to that destination, to our vision. So let's go over those briefly. First, in 2011, a 26-person group of faculty, staff, and students and community members wrote our mission, vision, and value statements, and that was a crucial time. It defined our present and our mission, and it also defined our future, the vision we're trying to reach as an institution. Our Board of Trustees adopted that statement in the June of 2011. Second, we wanted to know how we were going to know who was at the table when it came to determining how we realized our vision, our mission, and to forge solutions to problems facing the organization. So in 2011, I created a task force on governance comprised of representation from all constituency groups. The task force proposed, and I accepted, a model composed of 3 broad council areas, 4 constituency group councils, 4 councils representing functional areas, and 4 councils representing campuses, all united in a single college campus council. The first elections led to 159 members of the college community, students, faculty, and staff, and administrators beginning their service in the governance system. We held our second elections this spring, and we look forward to year 2 starting, and I celebrate the work that is being planned for this next year. And I thank all of you who ran and who will be serving in the governance system. Third, a committee of 36 faculty, staff, and students and administrators wrote Montgomery College 2020, our strategic plan. And that is very crucial, for it provides a path to the vision that I articulated earlier. The board adopted the plan in July of 2012. So I know a few of you thinking, okay, that's enough, Dr. Pollard. I think you chewed off enough. I think we've got our starting point. We've got the road. We're on our destination. And we know who's representing us in discussions and collaborations that are needed. We're all set. And we understand the story you're trying to tell. We got you. Can't we just ease on down the road and call it a day? Some people ask me that sometimes. Well, here's the thing, and this is my truth. It's not that simple. First, we need to support the road, in our case, Montgomery College 2020. It's not just a standalone road, it's one that requires some building, some care, and some attention. It needs the pieces in place to succeed, so I want to talk to you first about the most recent efforts to shore up that road. And then second, I'd like to talk to you about what may happen that may potentially surprise us, impact us, or interrupt our journey on this road. Just as importantly, I'd like to talk to you about what you can do to help us prepare for the future that is already here, so that our recovery with challenges can be more swift, when it occurs. In fact, some of them may turn out to be helpful on our journey to be more prepared and proactive as an organization. The better we are, the better we can maximize the potential that we can have on the lives of our students. So let's talk about some new major issues that are out there and how these things help us build Montgomery College 2020. We've already put in a number of initiatives in place to support MC 2020, particularly in areas like community engagement, student services, and student success. I highlighted many of these efforts at my last State of the College and will continue to do so throughout the academic year. But I need to take the next step forth and speak to you and draw your attention regarding academic restructuring. First, how does academic restructuring relate to MC 2020, our strategic plan? It's within the first theme of educational excellence and calls for, quote, a renewed leadership structure that affirms the one college model and supports faculty, staff, and student achievement, innovation, and scholarship. This idea of a one college model is not new. It's been discussed for many years at Montgomery College. In fact, this summer I took the opportunity to read sections or portions of the history of Montgomery College, and I was struck by the author who recounted in the 1980s the college considered an academic structure that ensured, quote, all students receive an equivalent education regardless of location, end quote. So this one college idea predates me. It's one that the college has been grappling with for many years. So why are we looking at restructuring? Higher education is on a journey. I'd offer to you it's on an evolution. And for Montgomery College, that means that the academic structure that was sufficient in the 1980s and 90s must be reviewed for today's college students and for our future students. We owe it to our students to provide them with several things: consistency in academics and academic support, aligned academic operations across all 3 campuses and many locations, an integrated college-wide course schedule, and many of you would ask, why now? Simply put, Montgomery College is now accredited as one organization. Our accreditation expectations have become significantly more prescriptive. They probably wouldn't describe it as such, but I would. Our students are asking for common student experiences in academics, and our campus differences can be very confusing and even frustrating for our students and their families and for our community. And as you know, I received the recommendations from the Academic Restructuring Task Force in May, and I want to thank the faculty, staff, and administrators who worked deliberately on that task force with dedication and hard work. I know that it was not an easy task. It was not a popular one in many circles. What I would tell you is I'm grateful to you for demonstrating the heart, the intellect, and the courage to engage in the journey. As I've said all along, when it comes to this subject, I would be very deliberate, honest, and consistent in my decision, and I've made the decision to accept the recommendations from the task force. The new academic structure will be an organizational change. Vice presidents and provosts will have responsibility for multiple disciplines across campuses to ensure better collaboration. Instructional deans will have responsibility for specific curricula and programs, again, across campus. The academic affairs and student services department chairs will continue to focus on campus-level leadership and will assume supervisory and leadership responsibility of faculty and become 12-month positions. While I concur and understand that these organizational changes may cause concern, I want to assure you this is not a decision that I took lightly. In fact, many of you were waiting in May for me to offer my decision on the recommendations. I took the summer to read and review the documents of the task force. I looked at many multi-campus institutions. I talked with leaders in the field, and it came apparent to me that all of these things led to the point that we are right now as an organization. What does this operational change mean for our students? It means a consistent educational experience from campus to campus. The moment our students step foot on our campuses, they will benefit from an aligned academic options across all campuses that lead them on their path to success. And what does this mean for you? Academic affairs will be greatly enhanced and have a greater presence and voice in resource allocation and in the decision-making processes of the organization. In addition, under the new structure, there will be improved opportunities for career progression as well as succession planning in departments. You will be receiving a memo from me a little bit later on this morning, but I want to provide this to you in person from me. I know it's important for many of you to hear this directly from me, and I know that this is a topic that has been of much interest to the college community. It's important, though, that we understand the goal of the effort. We are restructuring academics to benefit our students and to follow the pathway laid out in MC 2020. I'd now like to talk to you about a few other things that may appear in this journey that we're taking together as an institution. I keep thinking of the Wiz character, the Tin Man, who had to prepare for the environment by having his oil can ready all the time. We can't control our destiny ourselves all the time, but we can be prepared to respond to it. And we have that choice as an organization. Those of you who have been here a while have heard me talk about the forces at work that required us to be both present and future-oriented, because policymakers, elected officials, nonprofit foundation groups have never been more interested in higher education than they are right now. And seemingly, they're driving the agenda more than we are in higher education. They've never been more interested than holding us accountable for the results that we produce in higher education. And as you've heard me say time and time and time again, if we don't respond, others may do so for us. In fact, one of our state senators, Richard Madaleno, says, who's an advocate for us actually in Annapolis and does a wonderful job representing higher education, he posed this question recently to a group of higher education folks. He said, how do you do more with a different kind of student with fewer resources? And if you don't think fast about it, your institution will be behind. And we can't afford that as a state. That's the reality, isn't it? And to address that reality, Senator Madaleno sponsored a bill to address some of these issues, and it passed resoundingly. And here's something that you're going to be hearing a lot about on our yellow brick road at Montgomery College, SB 740, also known as the College and Career Readiness and College Completion Act of 2013, also known as the law. For some of you, this may be new, some new news, as it happened primarily toward the end of the academic year. And if you're new to Montgomery College, you're probably wondering, what have you just walked into? But for others of you who've worked throughout the summer and have been preparing Montgomery College for this law, you know it is real and you know that it is here. While the legislators passed the law, with two lead sponsors coming from Montgomery County, Maryland's community colleges and four-year colleges provided their support because we made a commitment to working deliberately and collaboratively with the state to increase degree completion. Why did our state decide it needed SB 740? Here's some of the bill's opening language. You'll appreciate this. Other countries are surpassing the U.S. in the percentage of young adults with a post-secondary degree. That by 2018, 2/3 of all Marylanders will require some post-secondary education. Also, nearly 2/3 of high school graduates who enroll in a community college require remediation. So what does this mean for us? Our state legislators are acting with a sense of urgency when they pass the law to improve college readiness and completion. And it requires requirements for K-12 community colleges and 4 years institutions, assessment of college readiness by the 11th grade, greater collaboration between K through 12 and community colleges. For community colleges specifically, the law means we must work with students to develop degree plans, pathways, and advising recommendations. We must work amongst ourselves to develop a 60-credit limit for academic programs for transfer students and other efforts aimed at increasing college completion rates. And I want to thank the group that started working on this as immediately as the bill became law, and more importantly, he worked over the summer to make sure that we're prepared to respond to both the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. I'm very grateful to you for that. And I shared, and I think this is important, when I met with the faculty group in the spring, and this is right after 740 passed, actually I think it was still being deliberated, she literally turned to me and said, wow, so this is what you've been trying to prepare us for. And my response has been yes. This has been down the line, it's out there, and it's something that is not going away. So it has some very smart sponsors, this bill, but the bill language is not theirs alone. You can see key elements in this from the work of Complete College America, a national organization promoting college completion. So if you're following the completion discussion that's happening nationally, and remember our state was one of the first to sign a national pledge to increase college completion rates, this law was a logical next step to the policymakers. And I would add that SB 740 is in line with MC 2020 strategic plan, particularly the theme that talks about access, affordability, and success. I would add also that we may not have done the writing on this. Would we have done something different if it were written? Probably. There'll be some things in there. But the good news is that we're taking action already to respond to this very important piece of legislation. And there are going to be a few other things on the journey as we move forward. As I noted in my welcome letter to you all on Wednesday, there are a plethora of issues that we have to consider this year, from the impact of the Affordable Care Act to Middle States. And we'll be looking closely at part-time faculty with contract negotiations underway this fall. Let me quickly touch on a few other issues with the understanding that it's a long list and we'll be elaborating as the year goes forward. First, enrollment. The record enrollment that we've experienced as an organization for the past several years is not sustainable and is leveling off. Not just here, but also across the country. Last year, quite frankly, our enrollment increase that we saw at Montgomery College was an anomaly in the state. We were only one of 3, I believe, organizations who experienced an enrollment growth last year, but the times have changed. In fact, the New York Times reported that nationally, college enrollment fell 2% last year, the first significant decline since the 1990s. They indicate this trend will continue this year. I understand Dr. Lynch did a presentation to the college community about 5 or 6 years ago and predicted that we'd be right here this year. I don't know how many of us were listening to you, Dr. Lynch, but I think we are now. Reasons include why we're seeing these enrollment gaps. College-age population dropping after more than a decade of sharp growth, and many adults who opted out of the job market because of the recession and chose to come to college are now being drawn back to the workforce based on the economic recovery. Maryland mirrors this national trend, and this fall, as of this morning, we're still down about 14% fewer. Now, this number will change. We know that as folks are working tirelessly to enroll students, but we'll still be down this semester. So let me emphasize a couple of points about that. We are not alone. I sat across the table with my Maryland Community College presidents, and with the exception, I believe, of 2 institutions, we were all down, double digits, in fact, in most cases. Our colleagues across the country are experiencing the same phenomenon. And as you know, this will have a budgetary impact. Enrollment, revenue, budgetary impact. Accordingly, a 1% decline in credit enrollment across the academic year equates to a net impact of approximately $500,000. So adjustments will have to be made, and I recognize that. That doesn't mean we let sections go with 3 people in it, because we want to keep those folks. And I want to say this here as well. I know that the deans and department chairs, and I've said this in many places, the deans, I think, in the academic structure have the hardest job. Their job is very difficult because they have to manage what's actually happening on the ground and at the same time try to make people like me understand it. So I celebrate you all for what you're doing in that regard. I'll also tell you, though, the hard decisions have to be made, and I know that you're doing it in concert with the faculty leadership and the programs that you're leading. But I also want to tell you, the sky's not falling. Henny penny, I heard, y'all know the rumor mill is abound at Montgomery College. I heard we weren't doing this because of enrollment down. I heard we weren't doing that. They're not giving us our pay increase because yeah, I heard that one too. Now I'm gonna let y'all know, nobody gets in my pocket. So it's there, it's done. You know, you'll see it in your checks. But what's important for me, we've been doing good work. We've had telethons or phonathons, Melissa, I don't know which one it is. We've had postcards on the website. We've had email blasts. I know lots of people called at the last minute. Can you do something special for my program? We have to be thinking about enrollment year-round. It's not an August phenomenon. It's not something you think about right now and you start looking at the numbers. It's something we have to think about all year round. So here's my point about this. I'm not really interested in going out and chasing more students, finding new students. They'll find their way to us. What I'm interested in is retention, keeping the ones we have. Because if we keep the ones we have, and I have a whole meeting set up with Dr. Lynch. I'm going to have a whole conversation about attrition rates and retention rates. And I have a sneaking suspicion, if we kept the ones we had, not the ones who were working on their goals and met them, but the ones who, for lots of different reasons, didn't enroll in Montgomery College this fall, I have a sneaking suspicion we wouldn't have an enrollment issue at all. Just a little sneaking suspicion. So my message to you, retention. We all should be trying to figure out how we help students attain their goals and complete. And to do that, we have to keep them at Montgomery College until they meet their goals, preferably with a degree or certificate or whatever their goals might be. And as we move forward, I think that we have to be thoughtful, and if I can use the word planful as well in that approach, reaching out to current students before the semester is over, getting them registered earlier, and more importantly, I've asked the college-wide enrollment management team to tackle these topics and to think about them deliberately about how we can, as an organization, respond to this. Now, there are a few other issues to keep your eyes open for. You should have received my memo last Thursday regarding news on our feedback from our Middle States Periodic Review Report. I really want to thank everyone. This was a college effort, but I really want to single out Drs. Eric Benjamin and Dr. Sharon Thechter. They worked tirelessly with Kathy Westman in Institutional Effectiveness to get this report done. There were so many readers and reviewers. I want to really thank you for what you've done in that. There is still work to be done. While the reviewers have submitted a report to us, the commission still has to accept that report, and it won't do so until later this fall. But the reviewers gave us 8 action items, 2 recommendations, and 6 suggestions. 8 recommendations. The work faculty will be doing tomorrow during the Curriculum Alignment Day will address 2 of the Middle States recommendations, mapping of program outcomes and implementing a plan for assessing programs. Another hot topic that's out there right now, and it is not going away, performance-based funding. It's under review in Maryland again, and there could be legislation in the next session. Other states, most recently Massachusetts, have headed in this direction. If you notice, up to half of Massachusetts community college funding in the next 5 years will become performance-based. Something to think about. While we were very active last year when I led a group of statewide folks to develop a community college response, you should know that we have been asked again to serve on another task force because the legislature wants another set of recommendations for us, I think in next month, so they can send that in preparation for the next general session. Something to think about. These are just a few of the examples of things that are out there. So I think it's clear. To get down to this road of ours successfully, we need to both focus on the present and the future. We need a duality of thinking if we're to move forward and not get stuck as an organization. As you've heard me say time and time again, part of my role as a college president is to be in the moment, to be of this moment, to be conscious of what's happening, while at the same time having a future orientation. I need to understand the policy landscape from legislative matters to philanthropic issues, and ensure that we as a college are prepared and well-armed for the next act that we have to think about in our own future. So what's next? What can you do as individuals and we as a college to do to be prepared for this road? First, as individuals, I would argue that you all, faculty, staff, and administrators, have the same challenge, to be present in your current work, but also with an eye on the future, to see what's coming down the pipeline in our future, and to think about ways in which to organize that work, always keeping in mind our mission and vision as an organization. Second, we as an institution must have a future focus. Later this week, we'll have a kickoff meeting related to our FY16 to 20 Montgomery College 2020 initiatives. This is an important project to map out the future pathway of the remaining years of our strategic plan. For those initiatives require planning, they require resource allocation. Everyone is invited to attend Thursday afternoon, but I encourage you to definitely attend if you are involved in planning and budgeting at the organization. And that's not all. Our third effort must be to seek outside advice as well when we can benefit from it. Last year, we invited in the Strategic Horizon Network a highly regarded organizational and leadership development program to meet with our governance councils last year. The network made some recommendations to us in the organization, including how to maximize the promise of governance, and also how to design change processes and affirm leadership throughout the organization. Now the chairs of the College Council will look at the role of governance in generating solutions and providing access to constituents and in sharing feedback and information. And I'm particularly excited about this work. I'm also excited about the recommendation to develop a kind of think tank that focuses on the future, on differentiating between easily gone fads and trends and real mind-blowing change that's happening around us as an organization. So let me come to an end. Back to the whiz, if you don't mind. Like Dorothy, there's a lot impacting our journey. If it's to make you feel better, it's not just us. Every organization existing in the 21st century are having to deal with a pace sometimes referred to as hyper change. But we start from a very strong place as an organization. We have our starting place, we have our destination, we have our road, and more importantly, we have each other. Our efforts and initiatives are collaborative and they are deliberative. Things like the academic restructuring are key to supporting MC 2020. They're helping us build the road. Yes, there is some uncertainty ahead of us. Every year there will be more change, and in today's world, it's the only constant that's out there. We will face external and internal drivers. Yet if we think carefully and thoughtfully about the future, our action can be deliberative and proactive, working in concert with our common mission that shapes our identity as Montgomery College. Because in the end, we want to define our own path in the future, and we're on that, a little like Dorothy. I know some of you may think it's a little hokey that I compared our journey at Montgomery College to that of the Wiz, and it might even be a little cheesy. I'll admit it myself. But I had a lot to share with you today, and I found in life that things are better told through a story. They're better understood through a metaphor, because we know that they linger. They can be quite powerful, and they also have many ways of interpreting them. I'll end by sharing with you that I fell in love with the character of Dorothy the first time I saw The Wiz. I was about 5 or 6, and my father took my sister and me to the show. It was an event. We got little new outfits. We got to go to the Millionaires Club before and have kiddie cocktails. We got to sit and watch The Wiz, and I thought that I was a princess for a day. And the experience of seeing The Wiz and hearing Dorothy sing Ease on Down the Road was transformational for me. How do you make sense of a world that is constantly changing around you? How do you validate your intellectualism like the Scarecrow, demonstrate your heart like the Tin Man, and tap into your courage like the Lion? As a child who had recently experienced a life-defining event, I understood deeply what was happening in that piece of art. There would be challenges, there would be bumps in the road, there would be moments when you'll wonder if you're actually losing your mind. But Dorothy reminded me that my sense of wonder and hope is a powerful thing. Dorothy taught me that the journey is often more important than the destination, and I know that we're stronger when we're together on the journey. And as Glenda the Good Witch noted, we have it in ourselves to do the work. It was there all the time. It's hard work, but we can do it. I know that real magic lies within each of us. It is a deep and affirming, life-sustaining magic that attracts and connects each of us to each other. So thank you all very much for your time. Now let's go on and ease on down the road to a great year at Montgomery College.
Thank you, Dr. Pollard.